morning, Boyle Heights. First, I want to say thank you to the community members and allies who showed up to stand in solidarity with us. This morning, we are coming out here to speak about these recent allegations that have been tied into our activism work as an anti-white hate group. We will be talking we will be hearing a few testimonies and reading our statement. I'm first going to pass it over to Elizabeth, who is one of our allies and also white.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Blaney. I'm a resident here in Boyle Heights. I've been working in Boyle Heights for the last 22 years. I've been residing in Boyle Heights with my family for the last 14. I was appalled and angered when I read the LA Times article the other day to see that there were alleged anti-white hate crimes, the accusations that were going on. As someone who is white, who has been living in this community for 22 years, I have never experienced at any moment any anti-white sentiment. I believe that this is just another way for the galleries to refuse to accept responsibility for what they are doing to this community, for the displacement that they are causing. I believe that this is just another opportunity for LAPD to criminalize our youth, to criminalize people of color who live in this community. I think it is very, very irresponsible and immoral for what LAPD is doing to create a racial division in this neighborhood, to try and allege that there are anti-white hate crimes going on in this community where this community does not have a history of that. While at the same time, they are out there shooting and killing our youth. The youth who are people of color and other people of color in Boyle Heights. They need to take a step back. They need to not throw fuel into the fire. And the galleries are doing the same. When people who are white move into communities of color, we have a responsibility, and I believe that we have two things. One, we need to put our privilege in check. And second, we need to be lifting up the demands of our neighbors. Now, I know when I say that white people have privilege, that makes us cringe. That makes us feel uncomfortable. We don't want to be reminded of our mistakes of the past. So we say things like, I'm a single mom, I don't have privilege. Or we say things like, I'm a starving white artist, I don't have privilege. Don't I need a place to live too? I couldn't live in Echo Park anymore, I was priced out. And yes, that may be true. Housing is a human right. Yes, I believe that we all need a place to stay. And we may not make as much money. But that does not mean that we do not have privilege. As long as there is institutionalized racism, institutionalized racism, discrimination, and oppression, white people have privilege. As long as I get treated better and differently by institutions, I have privilege. So we need to put that privilege in check. We need to accept it, first of all, and acknowledge that our mistakes of the past are not in the past. The past is still happening now. So we need to put our privilege in check so that we can change, so that we can make things better. And one way of putting our privilege in check is that when we move here and have an address here, either by bringing a business here or by living here, is to not put our voices first in terms of what we want. My neighbors are asking for laundromats to replace the one that got burnt down and the other one that got torn down. My neighbors are asking for child care facilities. My neighbors are asking for places for their kids to go that are safe and places for the senior population. That's what my neighbors are asking for. So that's what I'm gonna ask for, because that's what my responsibility is. I'm not gonna ask for some organic cafe that's really cool, or a dog park, or a 24-hour fitness gym, and those things all may be really nice, but that's not what my neighbors are asking for. A WIC office got closed down because they couldn't pay the rent of the new landlord who bought it 5 months ago. A WIC office. A local corner market who was paying $1,700 now had to pay $3,500 if it wanted to stay in this community. It got priced out. My neighbors are not asking for a gallery. They have never asked for a gallery. So I'm not going to ask for a gallery. My neighbors are not asking for the displacement that comes with what the gallery brings. And my neighbors are not asking to be criminalized. Therefore, I am asking the galleries to leave, and I'm asking you to take your trumped up false accusations of anti-white hate crimes with you. The only crime being committed here is the economic violence against my neighbors that is causing their displacement. Thank you.
The next person that we're going to testimony today is one of my very favorite allies from the b.h.a.a.a.d collective, and that's Keen. Also.
My name is Keen O'Brien. I'm a white, transgender artist and activist. I'm a member of the Boyle Heights Alliance Against Art Washing and Displacement and the Los Angeles Tenants Union. I stand in solidarity and support of Boyle Heights and the Boyle Heights community as they face yet another wave of economic displacement. As a transgender artist, I too have felt the need to create an arts community that would feel financially and culturally accessible. This is the line of reasoning a lot of the galleries coming into Boyle Heights are using as an excuse to occupy this space. But make no mistake, occupying space that is accessible to folks who have the capital to buy buildings and turn them into galleries, or to even make a gallery their main source of income, is an economic privilege, and its direct consequence is displacing the very community that they want to be welcomed by. Boyle Heights is a neighborhood with a strong history of resistance in the face of gentrification and economic displacement. It is a strong, tightly knit community of working class people of color who have invested blood, time, and life into making sure their home remains in the hands of the community and not in those of speculators, real estate developers, and those that would make it the next arts district of Los Angeles. The community has asked the galleries to leave. The galleries are refusing to challenge their complicity in this violent act of economic displacement and are willingly, and at times eagerly, enacting this violence on behalf of the classist, white supremacist, capitalist institutions who will most profit from their presence here. Calling the police for damage and disruption from a protest or a street art graffiti tag is enacting the racist police state and is a racist, violent act against a community of mostly people of color. Jesse Romero was killed by these same police for tagging. When galleries involve the police, they are increasing surveillance and the police presence in a community whose members are most vulnerable to police brutality. Calling the police is a response born from white privilege and class privilege, and in this case is in direct service of white supremacist capitalism, and it's unacceptable. Art washing and queer washing are real and are obviously at work when you call the police on a community of color so that you can protect your property. The galleries have said their presence here is a necessary one, but let me remind them, housing is a human right, and you do not have a right to your curated art so long as people of Boyle Heights must sacrifice their housing for it. And let me also remind you that Boyle Heights community has artists of its own, and it does not rely on you to bring your art onto their walls. If you are not on the side of Boyle Heights, you will be fought against, because you are in service of gentrification. As queer and trans people involved in resisting the role of art in gentrification process, who include both white folks and POC folks, we recognize and push back on the problematic notion of queer safe space. As a category that neutralizes a high-profile, highly marketable, gentrifying presence. This needs to be called what it is in America, white supremacy. We want to end with this. For our fellow queer artists and with studios, galleries, or art in these spaces who are queer-washing this violence and this displacement, we cannot separate art and the way we choose to live. Queerness is not a single-issue platform, and you cannot separate queerness from the need of secure housing, food, health, and safety from a racist police state. Queers have historically been victimized. Queers can also act oppressively. Queerness is an inadequate category when used to imply a completed liberatory politic. It is often used in ways which erase racial and class violences. Queer real estate agents evict queer families and tenants. Queers live in the margins, and queers live in the status quo. Queer gentry and property owners call the cops on their neighbors. Queer gentry protect their property at all costs. Queer business owners call the cops on the homeless so that the gentry can shop in comfort. Queerness and queer safety is not a free pass in this world of racial violence and violence against the poor. The protesting and my solidarity will not stop until all galleries and artist studios leave.
Thank you, Keith. I'll now be passing it on for another testimony from another great ally. As an active member of b.h.a.a.a.d, Walt.
Hi, my name is Walt Centerfit. I'm a member of the East Side chapter of the Los Angeles Tenants Union, a member of Unión de Vecinos, and of the Boyle Heights Alliance Against Art Washing and Displacement. I am a 72-year-old senior, a resident of Boyle Heights, a tenant, and am an anti-racist, white, gay, queer man. I am also a displaced tenant. When my husband and I were evicted and displaced from our home of 9 years across town by the same forces of gentrification, displacement, and greed that are sweeping across the city, we moved to an apartment in Boyle Heights. Why Boyle Heights? First, because we have many friends here and have been active supporters and members of Unión de Vecinos for several years. But even more importantly, because Boyle Heights has a rich history of welcoming people of all races, religions, and ethnic and national origins who have been displaced from where they were before. Refugees, asylees, migrants, low-income people struggling to survive and build healthy lives in a community. We were also welcomed because we recognized and joined the decades-long struggle of long-term residents to defend and strengthen their community, their housing, their culture, their safety, their future against all kinds of threats, from the destruction of public housing, to the abysmal lack of city services, to racist police abuse, to random violence, to the loss of jobs, etc. We were welcomed because we joined in solidarity with this resistance, led by long-term residents, particularly the incredibly strong, determined, and fierce women of Pico Gardens, other public housing, and the neighborhood committees of Unión de Vecinos. It is an honor to follow their leadership and inspiration, and to be accountable to a movement with them at the core. Building on this history, an expanding movement of resistance has grown anew in Boyle Heights, joining together many other organizations committed to defending this amazing community and resisting its erosion and destruction by gentrification, colonization, racism, dislocation, and speculative development. The energy and creativity of hundreds of young people is an inspiring part of this resistance, respecting the wisdom and experience and uncompromising history of the older generations who are still in the struggle, while bringing to it a brashness and boldness and refusal to be held down and refusal to do as they're told. The solidarity of our resistance is unbreakable. Old and young, newer and long-term, led by people of color, but with strong white members supporters, and allies, long-term residents, and newcomers who choose to join in solidarity. Because the real question is, which side are you on? Yeah. Woo! And we know what side the LAPD is on, and we know what the charges of anti-white racism and vandalism represents and what it leads to. A criminalization of our youth, a criminalization of our community, a targeting and picking off of people of color and of everybody who refuses and who rebels and who resists. Well, to the LAPD we say, hands off our resistance. Hands off our youth. Hands off our community. To the galleries we say, as you have been asked, as it has been explained, leave. You're not the cutting edge of culture. You're the leading wedge of gentrification, colonialism, and destruction. To the rest of you who are watching and listening, we ask once again, which side are you on? For us, we know. We're on the side of the people of Boyle Heights. We're on the side of the people of color of Boyle Heights. We're on the side of the residents of public housing of Boyle Heights and everybody else who believes that housing is a human right, that people have the right to live free, people have the right to be free. We will not be divided. We will not be defeated.
Next, I'm going to bring Tomas, and he will also be reading the statement.
Good morning. Boyle Heights Alliance Against Art Washing and Displacement is a coalition of residents, artists, workers, immigrants, families, students, seniors, and tenants fighting against the displacement of residents and local businesses from Boyle Heights. BHAAAD consists of multi-ethnic, multi-generational, and LGBTQ community members. Today we are here in response to the racist accusations that the LAPD and the galleries have made against the community protesting gentrification in Boyle Heights. The LAPD, together with the gallery owners, artists, and investors, have chosen to declare a hate crime investigation because of a single act of graffiti on a gallery door. While we don't know who the graffiti artist was, we're here to say that the notion that this is a hate crime against white people is a cynical manipulation. The police are not here for justice. They're looking for a time and place to start harassing activists. As white people, we don't interpret "fuck white art" as a personal threat. We understand it as a statement about white supremacy and how contemporary art serves its purposes. Art that is inaccessible and alien to the community and serves the ends of capitalist development and speculative investment. We know that an influx of white people is an indication of an influx of wealth, increasing property values, and inevitable displacement. We understand "fuck white art" in this context as a political statement against the role that bourgeois art plays in the process of gentrification. We're standing here about a mile from where 14-year-old Boyle Heights youth Jesse Romero was shot and killed by the LAPD this year. Jesse Romero was murdered by the police because someone called him in for tagging. When these gallerists call the police to investigate graffiti on their roll-up gates, they are pointing a gun at the youth in this neighborhood, and they are threatening those who raise their fists in protest with jail or death. By collaborating with the police, these out-of-touch gallerists are agreeing to intimidate the neighborhood and silence dissent. They have decided that it's more important to protect private property and the monetary value of their real estate investments than the people of this community. LAPD has already killed 5 Boyle Heights residents so far this year. The recent accusations leveled at this community make it crystal clear whose interests the LAPD exists to serve. When the historic murals of this community are defaced, the LAPD does not declare a hate crimes investigation. When community members request the services of LAPD, they are ignored or forced to wait hours to receive even the most apathetic, lackluster response. The job of LAPD is not to service the communities that they exist, where they exist, but to pave the way for capital and profit making. When galleries and other developments move into this community, LAPD exists to facilitate their entry and their domination. And before this, LAPD patrolled this community to generate profits for a prison system. It is a horrible irony that the LAPD would be pursuing a hate crime investigation against the brown, working class members of this community, when they themselves are perpetrators of the most vicious hate crimes that occur here. Chaining up the youth and throwing them into prison is a hate crime. The daily harassment that this community faces on the street is a hate crime. LAPD checkpoints and ICE deportations are a hate crime. The murder of Jesse Romero was a hate crime. The continued refusal of LAPD to hold their officers accountable for these crimes is a hate crime. How hypocritical of an organization with this history to be leveling accusations of hate crime against a community's struggle to solve the problems that LAPD has been instrumental in cementing here. We understand the history of LAPD, now and then, and this blatant attempt to intimidate and criminalize resistance only continues the LAPD's bloody legacy in Boyle Heights. This community has a long history of activism and organized resistance, including the multicultural coalition that protested the construction of the Golden State Freeway, the Chicán X student movement of the late 1960s, the mothers of East LA who fought tooth and nail to stop the construction of a prison and an incinerator in neighboring Vernon, and the mothers who fought against police abuse in Ramona Gardens and Pico Aliso in the 1990s. The members of Unión de Vecinos and their neighbors who are active in this struggle against gentrification today have been working for decades to improve this neighborhood. They have facilitated and negotiated truces. They have disarmed gangs, and they've walked the neighborhood bringing peace. When the buildings these galleries occupy today were still factories, they marched on them, demanding jobs for their youth. The galleries and other forces of gentrification are looting the value that this community built with an investment of blood, sweat, tears, and their resilience. We are not here to initiate another argument about what gentrification is and what gentrification is not. We have made this position clear in a number of statements, and our purpose here today is to address the ludicrous hate crime allegations. We feel we have done this sufficiently, and our demand on the art galleries remains the same. Get out. This demand is non-negotiable. Your presence in this community will increase property values. Your presence here will displace families from their homes, their cultures, and their histories. You have to choose to not take part in this process, which thus far you've only furthered. Your art is not more important than this community's right to exist. This community is more powerful than your investors, your board members, your clientele, and your army of police. You must choose to remove yourself from this community or come into escalating confrontation with this community's survival impulses. Our demands are clear. Every day that you refuse to leave makes your response to these demands clear as well. We knew who you were when we started this fight. We expected intimidation and threats. Intimidation and threats are not going to stop us. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. Thank you.
Thank you, Tomas. I'm now going to bring up Miss Delmira Gonzalez.
Buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Delmira González. Tengo más de 35 años viviendo en esta comunidad de aquí de Off Boyle Heights y pertenezco también al liderazgo y a la unión de vecinos también.
Good morning, I've been here for the last 35 years and I belong to the leadership of Unión de Vecinos and in my community.
Nosotros, digo nosotros porque la comunidad hemos luchado mucho aquí en esta comunidad para mantener la paz en el barrio.
We all together as community have struggled a lot to keep the peace here in our neighborhood.
Desde luces, calles, vivienda, mejores escuelas, quitar letreros de los de licores y quitar las licorerías en nuestra comunidad.
Bringing lighting, bringing paving our streets, bringing childcare programs, removing the ads from the liquor stores.
Nosotros hemos participado bastante. Hemos hecho caminatas, vigilias, protestas. Hemos luchado mucho porque yo he estado aquí más de 35 años.
We've done marches, we've done love walk, we've done vigils, we've done many things, and I've been doing this for the last 35 years.
Para tener buenas escuelas, para tener unas viviendas dignas, porque también nuestras viviendas fueron demolidas y nosotros anduvimos cambiándonos de vivienda vieja a otra vieja hasta que vimos la luz con nuestras viviendas nuevas.
To fight for housing that is right for us, because many times we were living from house to house until we found the right housing that would deserve the housing for us.
¿Por qué las galerías no vinieron y se pusieron cuando estaba tan feo aquí en esta comunidad?
Why weren't the Gallerists here when everything was ugly in this community?
¿Por qué ahora? Ahora están comprando los locales y nosotros somos los afectados porque nosotros ya no tenemos nuestras marquetas que teníamos. Ahora necesitamos de ir a las marquetas grandes porque no tenemos ahora nuestras marquetas pequeñas para comprar un tomate, una cebolla aquí alrededor de nuestras viviendas.
Why now? Now they're coming and buying our buildings and we're losing our markets. We used to be able to buy the tomatoes and the onions and the things that we needed near here. Now we have to walk to the big markets to buy the things that we need. We didn't have to do that before the galleries were here.
Ahora ya tuvimos una reunión con ellos en el medio de nuestro vecindario. Le expresamos todo nuestra lucha que hemos hecho, lo que hemos pasado, lo que hemos sufrido en nuestras viviendas, que han caído bastantes vidas inocentes y que es lo que nosotros nos hemos encadenado para tener topes en nuestras calles, para tener mejores calles también.
We invited them to our neighborhood and we had a meeting where we presented everything that we have dealt with. We've dealt with the blood of our children, how we have chained ourselves to have speed bumps in our community, and how we've been able to fight to make this better community.
Nosotros les estamos declarando a ellos que ellos se vayan de aquí de nuestra comunidad, porque nosotros somos de muy bajos recursos. Nosotros tenemos a unos metros nuestras viviendas. Si ustedes las pueden ver, de aquí se divisan las viviendas. Entonces nosotros somos los afectados porque a nosotros nos van a aumentar las rentas, van a aumentar los precios de los locales. Entonces, ¿quiénes son los afectados? Nosotros, pero a ellos no les importa que nosotros los residentes de muy bajos recursos estemos pasando eso.
We are the affected ones. We are low-income people. We live a few blocks from here. You can see them here. If you turn, you can see the housing where we live. Our rents are going to go up. Our housing is going to be more expensive. We're going to be the ones affected. And they don't care because they're not going to be affected by these things.
¿Por qué? ¿Por qué ellos están aquí? Porque hay unas galerías que hasta tienen 20 años que no van a pagar renta. Cuando nosotros vamos a sufrir las consecuencias, eso no está bien para nosotros.
Why are they here? We have galleries that for 20 years are not going to receive rent. And we still have to pay the rent. That's not fair to us.
Nosotros aquí hemos dejado nuestras vidas porque hemos luchado para tener esta comunidad como está.
We have given our lives to be here. We have struggled to be part of this community.
Y todo lo hemos hecho voluntario. No hemos recibido ningún pago por estar cuidando a nuestros hijos, estar viendo cómo está corriendo nuestra vecindad.
We've done this as volunteers without payment because we want to have a better community and because we've seen how our community was.
Y no es justo que ahora ellos estén culpándonos del graffiti que apareció en sus puertas. Nosotros no hemos tenido acciones, ahora pronto. Entonces eso es una trampa para nosotros, porque ellos para tener la protección de la policía.
I'm not like using the graffiti as a shield. We haven't done this, but they're using it as a shield to attack our community.
Nosotros sabemos dialogar y les hemos expresado nuestras necesidades y nuestras tensiones que tenemos. Entonces yo no sé por qué ellos ahora están hablando de otra manera.
We know how to dialogue, we have good intentions, we don't know why they're behaving this way.
Nosotros merecemos respeto, todos los de Boyle Heights, porque donde quiera están apareciendo las galerías.
We deserve respect all over Boyle Heights, wherever the galleries are appearing.
Ellos saben lo que afectan a la comunidad de muy bajos recursos. Entonces, ellos se tienen que ir de las viviendas que son de muy bajos recursos. Ellos tienen dinero donde poner sus galerías.
We are the ones being affected. We live in the low-income housing. They know how they're affecting our low-income housing. They have to go another place because they can afford it.
Nosotros lo que necesitamos son viviendas de muy bajos recursos y necesitamos los pequeños negocios y necesitamos trabajos.
We need low-income housing. We need other small businesses. And we need other services for community.
Porque todas estas galerías donde están aquí, porque digo galerías porque es una docena o más de galerías, ya es un descaro eso, no es una ni dos. Entonces, nosotros merecemos respeto y necesitamos que se vayan.
So we need their respect and we want them to live.
Le estamos declarando la destitución.
We want them to move out.
Gracias.
Gracias. Delmiro, otro member, la Ana.
Mi nombre es Ana Hernández, yo vivo aquí en Pico Gardens, vivienda pública, desde hace más de 25 años. Y nosotros todos los días estamos constantemente defendiendo nuestros derechos para una vivienda. Nosotros hace 20 años nos organizamos en la comunidad, cuáles eran las necesidades de nuestras comunidades, y nosotros identificamos estos problemas como educación, vivienda y todas otras necesidades dentro de nuestra comunidad. Pero ahora, hace unos meses atrás, la autoridad de la vivienda quería privatizar nuestras viviendas. Este logro nosotros lo hemos ganado y nuevamente en la actualidad estamos nuevamente con otro problema que son las galerías. Las galerías realmente no nos beneficia en nuestra comunidad, porque realmente estas galerías están comprando, los dueños de estas galerías están comprando todas las propiedades que están aquí, y este dinero que ellos van a ganar, este dinero no se va a quedar en la comunidad. Este dinero va a salir de Boyle Heights, y Boyle Heights no está para venderse. Boyle Heights está para defenderse, porque la gente que vive aquí es gente de $25,000 y menos. Nosotros vamos a defender Boyle Heights. Todas las organizaciones que están defendiendo Boyle Heights nos estamos organizando y lo estamos logrando poco a poco. No queremos que nos estén inculpando un acto que nosotros no lo hemos cometido. Gracias.
My name is Ana Hernandez. I've been here for more than 40 years in the community. We know what our issues are around education and housing. And now in these months, even the housing authority who owns my house right down the street have tried to privatize our housing, but we were able to win and stop that. Now the galleries have come in, and the money that they claim to bring here doesn't stay here. The money does not stay in our community, it leaves the community. And for us, Boyle Heights is not for sale, and we will stay here to defend our rights. Thank you.
And now we're going to bring up Hamid. Hamid, are you still here with us? Okay. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Hamid Khan. I'm with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition, just based across the bridge in downtown Los Angeles in Skid Row. Maybe I want to start off by saying, know thy neighbor. And just clearly a classic example of what we are seeing. If this was not privilege, I don't know what else would this be. Our work really tracks and exposes and organizes against how the National Security Police State is using counterterrorism and counterinsurgency policies to criminalize communities. In July of 2013, the Department of Homeland Security released a memo equating anti-gentrification efforts as extremists and a threat to national security. I want to repeat that again. In 2013, July, the Department of Homeland Security released a memo equating anti-gentrification efforts as extremists and a threat to national security. What the LAPD is doing shouldn't surprise us at all. Looking at the long history of the war on gangs, the war on crime, the war on drugs, gang injunctions, broken windows policing, predictive policing, suspicious activity reporting, Department of Homeland Security memos, this falls into that line of sensationalizing and criminalizing a whole community on an act of dissent, where behavior and act of dissent and your freedom of speech is directly being criminalized. But what is happening is that what we've seen in Skid Row, that how Skid Row has contracted, going from Pershing Square all the way up to Central, is now from Los Angeles down to Central. We've seen how displacement happens. So what we are seeing now is again the same thing, that how the war on people has been declared. How gentrification efforts, any organizing against poverty, any organizing against displacement, any organizing to maintain the fabric, the cultural fabric, the community fabric of a community is being devastated. It's being shredded. And it is all happening as a result of all of these policies that the LAPD does. I want to end by saying that while the LAPD claims to be a model of policing in the United States, yes, it is a model. It is a model of being the most murderous police department in the country. In 2015, LAPD killed 21 people, the highest of any police department in the country. This year, LAPD has already killed 18 people. So it's by no surprise that we see that in 2015, of all the 21 divisions of LAPD, Hollenbeck was the highest in officer-involved shooting. It is no surprise that in 2016, Hollenbeck is responsible, LAPD is responsible for killing 5 people. So whether it's Arturo Valdez, whether it's Omar Gonzalez, whether it's Juan Mendez, whether it's Jesse Romero, these are the names that are going into the long list of murders that the LAPD is committing. So it is no surprise that they would declare this as a hate crime. We demand LAPD to drop the charges not against an individual, against a whole community. Drop the charges not against one person, but against us as people. So we should all be insulted. We should all take it very personally. So we are here in solidarity, and we'll continue to work to dismantle this national security police state. Thank you.
Thank you. And that ends this press conference. I just want to say thank you for everyone who came out, and thank you for all our allies who took a step today and speak on behalf of b.h.a.a.a.d. and the work that we are doing. In the face of gentrification and violent displacement of the working class people of color, we stand firmly with our stance. Get out.